up to the new minister.
I'll try again.
Try again.
The same guy.
No.
Are we meeting, who are we meeting with for ministers? Like, should
Oh,
we?
did we finish the issue of the infrastructure then?
Queen.
Infrastructure?
Or you just didn't talk about it?
Which,
The 1 million?
That goes into our proposal to them, and,
Okay,
so there's no point in talking about it.
okay.
they're just gonna send no accounts.
That just becomes part of our
Agreement.
proposal.
Okay.
All right, Railway Avenue, what do you wanna do about, again, a refusal? I'm thinking that our letter should have indicated that the woes of Railway Avenue were brought on by being nice to transportation and allowing, one of the residential streets to be turned into a truck road. So, maybe we didn't make that clear enough to them, that we wouldn't have this problem if we hadn't acquiesced to their problems with the intersection.
Would they care?
Yeah, because we can turn it back to a residential street.
I thought we wanted to indicate that in the letter, stating that because they put no truck turns here at the set of lights. I thought that was all part of the letter to indicate.
I didn't sign the letter, I think. Who signed the letter?
I don't know.
It was a joint letter.
It was a joint letter. Did I sign that letter? Okay, the MD, then the MD must have made the letter.
No, but, well, this agreement has been going back and forth regarding Railway Avenue. All arguments have been made from different sides, given the situation. I think, we have to be bold there. We have to take the bull by the horn. We've agreed on 110, 110. I think the next step is that we go 60-40 and get that road done. Just meeting words and going back, from my reading, I don't think it's going to help any of us. Let's get it done next year. Let's agree on a number. Let's be bold. Let's get this thing out of the way. We've come 1/3 way, 1/3 of the way already, each of us. All we need is a balance to caution and move on this whole thing.
The one other partner in this, I think the consultant is called, of course, is Trevita. Because a lot of their traffic that creates the problem too. We even talked to Trevita about a road use agreement or anything on that particular piece of road.
No, it's in the town, we wouldn't.
Yeah, no, we
None of
would
it.
have you people.
That's
But
kind of a tough sell, but I guess you certainly could do it.
You remember we met with Grantley about talking to the road users, and he said there's no sense in doing that.
there's just too
It's
many
not
users.
easy to identify exactly. And Grantley told us, this was 3-4 months ago. We can kick the can down this road and have this discussion till the cows come home. But there's one thing that is true, is that if I agreed on 1/3, 1/3, the last part is 1/3. Let's get bold and courageous and get this thing done next year.
It's at the backs of the taxpayers of both parties, so if we can get help from the province or the feds, that's up to us to make sure we do that. And like Madam Mayor said, if they wouldn't have used that as a truck route and remained as a residential street, we probably wouldn't be facing this problem.
So there's two items here. One is we can go back and we can hit them again and say, and really make it clear in the letter, cause I'm not sure if it was, that's the basis, bang, that we don't want anything else. Step up to the plate, you guys, you caused the problem, you pay for it, that's number one. Number two is we can go 60-40. If we go 60-40, it's gonna be a local improvement, isn't it?
No, it's part of our grant, use of our grant funds.
Okay, but if we go to a local improvement,
I don't think it'll make,
Wouldn't be local.
no, it's not local.
Not at all?
It's for the benefit of the whole town. It's not for just a section of the town. It's for the benefit of the whole town, not for those people who live there.
Sorry.
well, it's falling
And then
apart.
gate two.
Of course, because what I'm thinking
It doesn't fall apart because.
It's like going local improvement on 49th Street. We didn't do that. It's for the benefit of the whole town. We use grant funds to do
Okay.
that.
Like Reedy called, says in his letter, I mean, there's funding under the gas tax and under the MSI that you can use for this, so.
Well, there's also Building Canada funding. We could try for Building Canada.
But that's not clear, I mean, as to the modalities in how you get that fund. So it's somewhere down the line. But they're it's true that there's MSI funding, there's federal gas tax funding, that's available out there. And those are facts. We keep going round and round, and they know that those monies are there for us to go and apply
That's
for
keep
it.
what they keep coming.
Yeah, I mean,
Use that MS for that, take away or from somewhere else that actually needs it.
Oh, it does, yeah, don't matter.
So again, they're saying, yeah, you got the MSI grant that you guys could have used somewhere else in town, but because we don't wanna actually have to do our part because we destroyed your guys' road, we'll take it away from somewhere else and here's your grant. That's not right.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I can see trying one final time with get your best letter drafter, whoever that is from the MD or the town, whoever's the best at draft an all-encompassing letter and try one more time with the new cabinet. There's about a 2% chance it might succeed. And other than that, I would suggest we take back to our councils a 60-40 and get it done if we're gonna get it done. Talking about it forever and ever. Makes no sense neither.
And it was Pearl, Callahayson.
Or whatever number you put in that agreement that you're preparing. Put the numbers you see and we'll put what we see, so if the letter fails, we have a backup plan and we can go.
But has Pearl Callahayson been fighting for this? Is she aware of it?
You can
Is
include her,
she-
she's on treasury now. and
She's
I've
probably
heard-
seen her letter, I think.
I think she
Oh, yeah.
was CC'd if I remember right.
She's aware of it.
You can molest her to push and to try one last time, but I sort of agree with Kelly. I'm thinking it's redundant, but we can give it one last kick. That's my humble opinion.
What is that your motion?
Well, I can make, yeah, whatever I babbled on there with, we can make that a motion.
I agree with you. We can
I'd
send
like
it
to
one
s-
more draft up, one more letter with the more detailed information in it, but at the same time,
Is there
I
anybody?
think we've gotta get it done, so.
Do we wanna see the letter before it goes out then? Because obviously you're concerned with the letter, right? You're
Yeah,
concerned with
but-
how it was being written, like we can just say somebody write a letter, it goes
No,
out.
it'll have to be
Because I've looked at
joint
two
sig-
it'll be
intermunicipal
joint signed.
It'll be joint.
agendas and we don't have a copy of the letter that went out, so we can't even comment on
Secret.
what was that?
Well, I'm
We've
assuming.
got two no responses in these agendas, but we don't have the letter, so.
It went out before 10 o'clock. So you missed it.
I'm assuming that to be a joint sign letter, the mayor and the Reeve will sign a letter.
And away we go.
So whichever one of you can write a letter.
you're having some procedural difficulty here in terms of writing a letter from the administration for them to sign. Normally you have to go through council, you know that. And so we go round and round again, that's go to our council, and then we have council meeting October 8th. And our council has to direct us to have a joint letter. Right, dude?
Well, I think his motion is that we recommend to the councils that they do this.
They do this, so October 8th.
Yeah, ASAP, whenever that is. I'd like to see how she worded that, all that nonsense that was talking.
October 8th?
Well,
It would actually be helpful to
we're
have
not gonna
that.
do anything until the spring anyways. And October 8th, we'll get a reply in November, and it'll be in the budget.
You won't get a
deliberations.
response back from those people before then anyway, right now,
They're too busy
they're
trying to figure out.
organizing right now.
Are we meeting with transportation at the AUMA?
I know last year when we met with them and we talked about it and we told them that they either fix the road or
And they said
Make
send
it-
a letter.
make it so they can turn at the lights. They sure got sheepish and turned the subject real quick, sent a letter, then moved on. So they do know it's their problem.
See if you can meet with them when you're there, that's coming up pretty soon.
Next week.
Next week.
Well, as I say, it'd be nice to have a letter before that, but we have to wait. I mean, they probably wouldn't have read it before they, read it anyway.
Could you read back the motion, please, when you're ready?
moved by Councillor Mark that the intermunicipal negotiating committee forward a recommendation to their respective councils to send a letter to Alberta Transportation requesting funding for 50th Avenue in the way of a 1/3 split between the town of High Prairie, Municipal District of Big Lakes, and the province of Alberta.
Was that a two-part motion?
I'm just thinking, I was talking about it, but should we have that in there?
Yeah, we should have two
Okay.
parts, and then we send it to our respective council
And
for
administration
budget deliberation.
in the defining of their plan or their recommendation to each council include what they see fit if it's turned on.
And what? Sorry?
In the proposal that,
May I suggest, that if I may be helpful?
yeah,
That we just forward it to budget deliberations, right? I mean, 60-40, 40 from the town and 60 from the MD. So it will just be going
That'll work for me.
concurrently.
it'll work for me. Thanks, Kelly.
Do we need clarity on what we want the letter to focus on? Cause obviously that's sort of what you're concerned with, is that the letter makes mention of the reason why residential road got turned into a,
Yep, yep.
I think that's understood.
That's-
I know, but like just,
It'll
that
be
would
in
be
there.
in. who's writing
You're
it?
exactly right. Well, whoever's the best letter writer in anywhere in these councils or administration or any other, or collaboration of.
I think there's.
That's a big one for you.
You guys can write it
I'm not right.
I guess, Grant, what are you?
Well, that's it, it'll be coming from the
But,
town, and that's
you
why I
know-
wanted to say specifically what we want in it, cause it is difficult, and we can
Okay.
say here what we want, and that's not necessarily what, is clear when it comes out in a letter, right, cause don't even know for sure. Like, I don't know if Crystal's one will craft it, or whether that gets handed over to somebody else, but that's sometimes what gets missed, is that the actual message of what we want said doesn't get to the right person. It has to have the motion, has to.
Mr.
say-
Reeve or Madam Mayor won't sign it if it isn't.
It'll be, yeah, I think both of us want a very strongly
Yeah.
worded. Could you read it back again now?
Just a new part.
Moved by Councillor Marks that the intermunicipal negotiating committee forward a recommendation to their respective councils to send a letter to Alberta Transportation requesting funding for 50th Avenue in the way of a 1/3 split between the town of High Prairie, municipal districts, and the province of Alberta, and for the intermunicipal negotiating committee to forward a recommendation to their respective councils to forward the costs of the 50th Ave road repairs requesting 60% of funding from the MD and 40% of the funding from the town of High Prairie.
For the budget.
Yeah.
To the budget deliberation, 2015 budget deliberation.
The cost, yeah.
And can
Oh,
we say,
no. The only thing I would put in there different is put strongly worded in front of the letter.
Strongly
It's
worded.
crystal clear that
and it's
It's
a
not
joint
a-
letter,
it's a joint letter.
could you put add joint into that?
Joint
letter?
strongly worded letter. And I voted, enough talk. We're gonna call the question first.
I think we've got it down. All in favor? It's carried.
Just something else, we should make a note, Bill, that we should meet with transportation when we're in.
Yeah, we're,
Yeah.
And Ds and Cs.
I hope that's set up already.
We have a package ready for them, some history on that too.
And we're meeting with transportation, Mr. Town?
Is that confirmed?
Not good.
It's confirmed, it's tentative.
Imagine everything was tentative until they actually
I
had
don't
the
think
minister
so.
of transportation.
Transportation is Drysdale again.
Yeah, I know that, but
Yeah.
we didn't know that until
No,
yesterday,
no.
did we?
But he should have some background on this. Okay, the next item is new business, we've added tourism. And it was just an update on, discussion at, the Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance meeting, in which I talked also with Ken Matthews. The Lesser Slave Lake, Regional Tourism Organization is in abeyance at this point. They haven't met for, quite a long period director is no longer there. They have had no meetings since he left, and it looks like doesn't sound like they're an active organization anymore. So, there might be an opportunity here for the west end of the lake, which is our area, to step into this vacuum and say, maybe we should be doing more with this organization, Lesser Slave Lake Regional Tourism. Maybe the office should be moved to the west end of the lake, and we will respond more to the tourism operators that are all at the west end of the lake, which seems to be one of the concerns with this organization. Or we could also say that organization is now defunct. Should the MD and the town of High Prairie do their own tourism operations? The advantage to staying with Lesser Slave Regional Tourism is that it's already a society, and they have their contacts with Travel Alberta and Tourism Alberta, and they are a recognized entity. Starting a new one, you have to start from the ground up. But tourism right now is defunct in this area. How do you want to
Do you
move
know how
forward?
Stu Wilson has it? What he
Pardon?
is? Stu Wilson, do you know who he is? Oh, Stu Wilson.
Who's the chair of it?
We don't know that either. The two people that spoke up at LSLEA's meeting was Diane Smith and Darren, what's his last name? Fulman. One from the, Darren is a counselor from the MD of Slave River, and Diane Smith is a counselor from the town of High Prairie, and they both, town of Slave Lake, and they both said, well, we just don't know what's going on, but we're certainly gonna look into it. And I'm thinking, they're going to look into it. One of the major concerns of that organization was that all of the funding seemed to go down to Slave Lake, and all the advertising was all focused
Well, we
on
did figure
that
out
end.
by the end of the meeting that the MD of Slave River was actually handling the finances. The bank account actually
Yes.
landed there, and took a while to kind of
Tease
get that
them out.
information out of them.
Like, who's writing the checks, point blank, who's writing checks? So, but obviously there's not much activity, like zero.
It could be a really good opportunity to steal it away and.
But if you wanna take it away, like, I mean, are they gonna relinquish it and say, okay, here you guys go, here's the books, here's everything else? So
There's
Town of
government
High Prairie
funding for
isn't
it.
a board
Hey.
member.
There's government funding for it right now.
High Prairie isn't board, we are,
Part of it.
or we are and we aren't. Because they sent out their request for their requisition for this year, and I think we told them no.
you turned it down.
Well, we didn't turn it down, we just said we're not giving it to you until we at least have a meeting with your executive director, whoever that was, and then we ended up quitting just shortly after that. So as far as I know, we've never paid that requisition.
I don't think we have, Mr. Reed.
So-
We're not a member of good standing, or,
And we could contact the society, Alberta's, the society, whatever, find out who the directors are that are listed on their forms, because nobody seems to know that I'm aware of. I'm just trying to run through my mind, anybody that had any dealings with it. Perhaps Watershed might know one of the board members, because maybe Watershed had a board member on there.
Charles Point, I think,
I asked Martin, he said he hasn't been to a meeting for
no,
2 or
but
3
I think,
years.
I thought they were members of it, weren't they?
Yeah, but he didn't, cause I have been trying to find a board member, and Martin has no information on a board member.
How similar is LSLEA to PREDA, I think it is, Priest River Economic
Pardon?
Development. How similar is LSLEA similar with PREDA?
It's one of the 12 economic development regions.
But this is tourism, this is not
This is all just,
economic development, two different.
This is tourism's. And their area is, I believe it's only along the lake, isn't it? Regional tourism, they don't go into opportunity.
Well, I don't know.
No, they don't, because opportunity has said,
Do they get government funding, Chairman?
yes,
Tourism board?
the tourism gets government funding.
Government money sitting in account right now.
Yes, through the tourism ministry.
And then they,
Should be good.
and then they get, well, for example, the rodeo here applies through through this, and then they get, matching grants or, but it's a granting organization also.
Maybe if both councils so choose to do this, we should just start a new one and get going. The time you get the members and get them to sign it, I don't even know if they can sign it, or I don't know how all
I
that
don't know
works.
how.
I'm sure it would be faster just if we so choose just to get on board and get our own going while there's nobody there and become the tourism center of the lake
Mhm.
and the district and the whole 9 yards if we're.
Cause most of the operators are at this end of the lake.
Yeah, they
And
do.
that's what we're trying to do is
Most
support
of them.
them.
Start our own tourism board and apply for the funding.
that's just sort of what I would think.
I mean, it's a fairly big project, but
Else-
would we be better off to take a look at, like what you're trying to do and figure out who the board is and maybe go to Tourism Alberta, like some of their directors? I mean, somebody's gotta know something.
Yeah, there's a couple of people in Alberta Tourism that I talked to regarding, LSLEA. I could ask them what's going on with this. But you're right, actually. We're finished the season and we didn't get any dollars really spent here. The rodeo, I believe, went and put their own application in. But usually there's quite a few, like there's Triangle outfit, they got a grant. There's a lot of organizations, and there's small organizations that could get grants. And one of the ways that this was funded, regional tourism, is he took a 15% administration fee out of every grant that he applied for. He didn't take it out of the grant. Travel Alberta gives you 15% on top of the grant to administer the grant. And when you administer it, all you do is you put the application in, you justify why it is that you need it, and then at the end of the grant process, you do the final report. And for that, you get 15% of the amount of the grant.
Well, this could be
So it is self-sustaining if you get somebody in there that knows what they're doing. And
It's working for the community.
George Wright made really good money doing this. He just basically burnt out. Because then he started going to all the trade shows, and that's where, it kind of snowballed, and then lack of interest from his board.
But I think, all the councils have to get some priorities in place. I don't know whether is the tourism board a priority or is the Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance Authority, a higher priority, or is it, getting some money out of industry a higher priority, or supporting industry? I'd suggest that I would make the priority, let's make sure we're supporting the logging and the lumber guys, and make sure we're supporting the oil guys. That's where 99% of our money is. But, I guess everybody's probably gonna cross that bridge, and how many more people are we gonna have to hire to get a little bit of money? So, is there value in that? I don't know, there probably is, but
I don't know, I'm thinking that it could be a self-sustaining.
all I know is that every place I've ever been, I got rid of all that. We never got enough money to pay for the paper we were creating.
Yeah,
And focus your priorities where you're getting money. Again, 90% of our money comes from the oil patch, well, maybe 70%, 20% from the wood guys. There may be 2 or 3% from all the rest of the farmers, the tourism guys. It's a big airy-fairy kind of thing in my mind, but, what the hell do I know? I think it's, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to put some money into it. Somebody's gonna have to, hire some people and make it happen. It's a big challenge.
We were, what was ours, about $12,000, if I remember right.
I think what Reeve said, we should meet with the minister and find out what she's got in mind.
tourism industry. Okay. I think it's something we have to be aware of. And we do have a lot of tourism operators that are in this end of the lake. The other thing is that this would create, as we know, what do people do after they finish fishing? They wanna go somewhere, which impacts the town of Prairie because we're the closest
I
urban
guess,
center.
Chairman, I always look association to support the oil guys. We have an association to support the wood guys. We have an
You're saying
association to
that they
support
have
the
all the
farmers.
money.
Well, they're giving us all the money, but we don't make any effort to support them, yet we're gonna spend a bunch of money to support tourism who pay us nothing. They're, you know, my view of a tourist is somebody with a motorhome buys all this grub in Costco, comes and throws his garbage out here and doesn't spend any money here, cause he's filled up his motorhome someplace else and.
I agree with everything, especially the fire department.
Well, our
We
problem.
need help.
If you guys look at your strategic plan, you probably have tourism as one of the, pillars of it. I know that's what we have for our strategic plan,
Well, that's up to you
tourism.
guys. I couldn't help but giving my little speech on tourism.
I know. Did we listen? No.
Well, you gotta put numbers to it, it's no different than any other, you gotta put some finances to it. In my mind, you know, does it make financial sense? Versus supporting, you know, West Fraser's.
We are supporting West Fraser, we're looking at their sewer
Yeah.
system, that's support, that's hard support.
I'm only suggesting it's gonna take more staff for, certainly in the MD, I don't know about town, maybe Kelly's got free time, but.
Or maybe LSLA can look at.
Well, they're hiring a part-time executive director or a full-time, maybe that, I don't know if they're going to, or whatever they're doing, but, they're interviewing, all I know is they're interviewing for an executive director, so.
He
So
can run
maybe
it all,
that could be,
he or she.
yeah, maybe that could be something brought forward.
You know, we can support it, councils can support it, and we'd like to see sort of it be at the West End. But yeah, I agree, we don't really have the resources to form another.
Well, I guess that's up to the councils and, you know, the MD council probably should look at this and also look at our economic development groups and committees and all those other things and see if there's some way to build a stronger strategy. And
Okay.
I think, you know, what the Reeve said, with this whole health thing, it probably should be wrapped in there someplace. Somebody's gotta make an effort to deal with the health issues, other than just the ad hoc. You know, that's big for us.
Well, Kelly Stevens' friend, so we're counting on him now.
Who's that? Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Anyhow, so there's the information on tourism, you can, take that back to your council and you can update them on what's going on with tourism. There was something else I was gonna tell you about it, but I can't remember what, so it couldn't have been very important. Alright, that's about it, that's our agenda. We have an upcoming meeting.
October 21st at 1.
Do you want to receive your tourism update for information?
Pardon?
Do you wanna receive that tourism update for information?
Okay.
So moved.
Councillor Marks, all in favor? That's carried.
Can we bump up the time from 1 o'clock to say 9 or 10?
I like 9.
Because we also have that evening our roles and responsibilities workshop at 5 on that same day.
20?
We
What
have an
day is that?
organizational meeting.
That's our organizational meeting.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
So that's during the day?
All day,
All day,
all morning too.
All morning too.
before 10 o'clock.
Yep,
22nd?
that's our council.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
23rd.
Yeah.
23rd, are you guys going to, recreation parks?
I am,
So you're not here?
but you don't need me here, we have two
Is
others,
Don-
many
is it,
capable people.
Don going?
No, he said no, he can't get away.
Oh, okay.
So we can, the 23rd is good, I don't need to be.
What?
No, we got lots of capable people that are,
So,
23rd 's
do you
good.
want an alternate?
yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah, everybody wants to come. Okay, well, I'll leave that in your hands.
Yeah.
23rd, are we okay
That's
with the
good, yeah.
23rd?
Yep. Time,
9
1 o'clock?
a.m.?
9?
It'll be in the MD chamber.
What time?
9 AM.
All of us should mark that down, right?
Especially for 9?